Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Munce Report. Well, the Queensland Racing Carnival's starting to heat up and the cavalry's coming. Boom Nova, a great winner during the week, and mate, I hope you've had your wheat bix because it's a big weekend of racing coming up for the team this weekend.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's good that we've starting to get a few runners back and going. Obviously, they're still just starting their preparations, and we've got a long winter ahead of us. But anyway, it's good to get the show on the road.
Yeah, well, exciting times ahead, and we'll speak more about this girl in the show coming up. We've also got some news on some stable newcomers, as well as all the weekend previews heading into a big weekend of racing. Okay, well, it was another positive week on the results front, and this girl really set the tone, didn't she, during the week? It was barrier 20 to start with. Didn't look very ideal on paper, but she overcame that, came into barrier 12, and a great start to her prep.
Yeah, well, it was a bit of the morning of the acceptances come out. It was just to put a line straight through and we wouldn't run, but we sort of took a breath and just waited to see how the next few days unfolded. And obviously when the emergencies came out and we were in need of getting a win into a belt and to try and get her rating up and prize money up, we decided that we'd roll the dice and really just hoping for the best, I suppose. But it was good that she was certainly ridden well. I've got to say, Boris gave her a great ride. He was very smart out of the gates and put her in a good competitive spot, and then she was able to go on with it and do the rest for us. So no, it was a tough win. Great
start for her prep, and now I believe you're eyeing off listed company for her next start.
Yeah, well, look, that's been our whole aim this winter, is to try and get a bit of black type there alongside a name somewhere, whether it be a winner or placing. It just helps these mares when their days are done, like as far as pedigree goes, and been just nice to try and get a bit of black type beside her name and a few more wins hopefully.
Yeah, well, she's made a good start, hasn't she? And then other notable mentions during the week. Reliable Ruby was unlucky not to make it back-to-back wins. Sort of almost looked the winner at one point, sort of sliced through along the fence and had a bit of a checkered passage as well.
Yeah, it was. And it was just one of those racing incidents. No fault of Larry's. I thought Larry rode it very well. It was just unfortunate that the runs didn't eventuate when we were hoping they would. And obviously she probably arguably should have won the race. It was a great run by her. Nothing against the mare. She raced beautifully, and it was just the way the race panned out.
Yeah, sure. And then Delight was equally as brave. She sort of looked the winner at one point in the straight, only to be run down by, I guess, a southern visitor. And that's this time of year, isn't it, when the carnival's on and the midweek racing's pretty strong.
Exactly. And, she's ran fantastic. 3 deep the trip here at Eagle Farm is hard for any horse to do, but then she still had the audacity to kick on and be narrowly run down, so it was a very good second.
Yes, certainly was. Yeah, the baby sister of Skate to Paris. So between those three, looks like some runners to follow heading into the coming weeks and months. Okay, well, it's been a busy week for the team off the track also, and the reason we're standing outside the box of Smart Meteor, who's here with Chris, is because this week you picked up his half-sister.
Yeah, it was interesting. We were just sort of sitting around there on Sunday and we're going through the catalogue and happened to notice his half-sister there by outreach in the sale, and we made a few inquiries about her, and we sort of set a bit of a price tag that we thought that we'd be happy enough to go to, and we're able to get it for less than that, so it was really good. And then we also purchased a nice Territories colt, and sort of Territories are a breed that I'm starting to warm to a little bit. I think they're quite nice, 3-year-olds in particular. They seem to be training on nicely, and the Chris Mars horse that won last Saturday at Eagle Farm, very impressive. I just think they could be quite a nice breed going forward.
Yeah, very good. Well, they were both great value purchases, so 2 newcomers to the stable. Well done to everyone that's got involved in the ownership of these two, including some existing owners in Smart Meteor. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun in both. And don't worry, for those that did miss out, there are still some yearlings available from the March sale, which is still available on the Munce Racing website. You go munceracing.com.au/horses available. Okay, well, the Gold Coast Turf Club takes centre stage for week 2 of the Queensland Racing Carnival on Saturday, and you've got a big team stepping out, some big guns really lining up here, and last up winner Elude lines up in the Ken Russell Classic over the 1200 for the BK Racing and Breeding team. How's he going?
Yeah, really well. Excited to get him to the races, to be honest. He's in good order, he's improved out of sight since his first win, and I just think he's the makings of a real nice horse, and he's still a colt. He's obviously going to a much tougher race on Saturday, but his ratings were very good the other day when he won here. So the fact he's drawn nicely, a good competitive barrier position, I think he should give himself every hope. Obviously the rain that's predicted, if it comes, is a bit of an uncertainty. He's never been on a heavy track or a wet track for that matter. So that's probably our only real concern.
Okay, good test for him then in this sort of grade, as you said, up in grade to this sort of level.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, look, he's got to race well in these to be able to be competitive in a few of these other better class races through the winter, but I'm pretty confident in the horse's ability.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to you. She's the next runner on the program, Rhapsody Rose, who's lining up in the Gold Coast Guineas, and no favours from the Barrier Gods, Barrier 18, and Luke Tarrant's aboard to ride for the first time in race conditions.
Yeah, well, Luke was lucky enough to be able to jump on her first trial back this prep, and I was really pleased with how, number one, he rode her, but then how she went as well. You know, I think they sort of really suit each other, and I just felt that after seeing her in a second jump out, she's a mature, much more mature mare this time around, filly. And although she hasn't drawn poorly, I think she'll be able to be taken across. Prince of Boom will lead, as he always does. Give her a nice trail, give her a good bunny to chase, and I think that you know, she's certainly very fit and she'll race very well.
Okay, so it could be a bit of a carbon copy with Boom Nova's race the other day if it all goes to plan.
Yeah, well, it could be. I mean, look, if she ended up in front, I wouldn't be worried either, because I mean, she's done both sort of things, but she's in good order. Whatever she does Saturday, she will improve on, but you know, I still feel that she'll race very well.
Okay, well, she's rearing to go by the look of her, and you've also got Stampy and Pelisapan lining up in the Australian Turf Club Trophy over the 1200, and Stampy's second up here, and you think will appreciate the step up to the 1200?
Well, he will appreciate that. He'll handle the soft going as well, so that's probably where his positives lie. His trial the other day, I'm still getting my head around whether it was a good trial or not. I thought he might have found a bit more than what he did, but then again, he was very wide, the track was very heavy, and it was a good heat too, so probably couldn't be too hard on him for those reasons. But Pelisapan, I just want to see what the weather does. If the track's heavy, I may not run her. I just don't know whether she really needs to run on a heavy track first up. I think I'd rather wait and look for another day, another race for her, because she's still got a few races over the winter that she's eligible for. Without having to bust her first up. And that's sort of a race. So, but she's in very good order.
And yeah, you're happy with her trials leading in, and that's why you're sort of saying you don't want to waste her on a wet track.
Yeah, and I mean, her trial the other day clearly showed us that she doesn't really like the soft. On top of the ground, she really lets go with a good turn of foot, whereas the soft track, she doesn't.
Okay. Well, moving ahead to the provincials, you've got a big team lining up that have accepted at Ipswich on Saturday. A few of the babies stepping out who we've spoken about. They've been coming through the trials and now potentially ready to head to the races. Brookhaven is entered for cutest 2-year-old for the boys over the 1100. He's drawn barrier 11 though here for Luke Dittman. Yeah,
well, look, unfortunately, the lack of 2-year-old maiden races this time of year might force our hand to have to run these horses where, you know, I'd much as soon to wait and, you know, give them every chance to race well. But Brookhaven's trialled well leading into this race. He's come on nicely as well. He's just really improved with racing and maturity. So I'll just have to wait to see what the weather does with him as to whether we run or not and what options we have available if we decide not to go around.
Okay, two of the other babies, 2-year-olds in Holterman and Artemis. They're both entered for the same race. Same again, it's a maiden plate over 1100 and drawn barrier 7 and 8. Yeah,
well, Holterman's had a couple of trials and been pretty happy with him, so he's probably some chance of going around depending on weather. Artemis, this is his first full preparation, so I've just got to wait and see with him. He still probably needs another good outing before he's switched on mentally, but ability-wise, I've got no concern. I think he's a very good galloper, and he's certainly up to these sort of horses.
Okay, well, they're the babies, and then we move on to Hot Spring Gold, and there'll certainly be plenty of excited owners around this fella. He's obviously the Racing League, the Queensland Rogues ownership, so 1,000 owners who could potentially be on track at either Ipswich on Saturday, or the other race that he's entered for is also Sunshine Coast on Sunday.
I think I'm leaning towards the Sunshine Coast with this guy. He's, I think the 1300 suits him better than the 1100. He's fortunate enough to be able to draw well both days, so although he's got a bit of weight on on Sunday, I just feel Jimmy Orman's booking and 1300 in particular is probably more a positive for him than the 1100 at Ipswich.
Okay, and obviously this is exciting times for the ownership group and first start for you under this banner. So you've been happy with him leading into this?
Very happy. Yeah, I'm still learning about him. He's still got a bit to learn about the horse, but he's in good order. He looks great. He'll improve a lot of whatever he does on the weekend, but I'm happy enough with him to go to the races.
Very good. Well, good luck to everyone involved with Hot Spring Gold over the weekend. Bedini's Girls, the other runner at Ipswich, entered for a fillies and mares benchmark 62 over the 1350, but no joy there. Barrier 10 for Angela Jones.
No, well, she's going to wear blinkers. She'll have blinkers on again on Saturday. So 10 of 10 from the 1350 is not ideal, but they do get a relatively long run down the back straight. So I just got to have a closer look at the form with her and if there are any other options coming up as to whether she runs on Saturday or not.
Chris is just getting mauled here by Rhapsody Rose. Let's move over to the Sunshine Coast on Sunday. The other runners there, Military Men, entered for a maiden plate for the boys over the 1400, and he's probably going to need a bit of distance.
Probably needs a bit further, but it's a good race to kick him off in, so I'd say he'll go around. We'll get the run into him and look for a mile race after that.
Okay, Curtis, 3-odd maiden plate. Everlast lines up here, barrier 16 for Samantha Collett, and he led them up first up and was sort of looked a good race for him. And was that a bit of a head scratcher for him?
Was a little bit. Probably went a bit too keen, might have been a bit too above himself in condition, so that's the reason why I'm really going to have a closer look at this race as to whether we run him or not from barrier 16. I think there are other options available to him as well, so probably the weather and the barriers or scratchings will determine where I go with him.
We'll take with him, okay. And then the other runner is Vital Source, who's an emergency in the benchmark 65 handicap, so I guess you'll have to wait and see there.
Yeah, if she gets a run, I would recommend that she runs so long as the track's not wet. She goes no good on the wet at all, so we'll just wait for a dry track if she doesn't get a run on Sunday.
And she's been trialling well in out of her grade in sort of open company?
I think she's been going quite well, yeah. Her trials have been quite strong, and she's a nice mare, good galloper on her day.
Well, there you have it, a big weekend of racing, and Rhapsody Rose wants to sign off, so good luck to yourself and everyone over the weekend.
Thanks, Adam.